Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing a video today about the whole controversy the past several weeks of Masters of the Universe. So, just a little background. I bought like every major action figure of Masters of the Universe like the last 3 years just because I was interested in the franchise. I hadn't really grown up with it as much as I probably maybe should have or could have or whatever. I've been a real big Transformers fan for most of my life. The Transformers really, really were a big part of my life, and science fiction and so forth, robotics. So I bought like this huge book of He-Man comics, of the original toy comics that I haven't read yet, but I thought it was interesting because I guess the roots of He-Man go back to a prototypical Conan the Barbarian action figure series that they were going to do, but they never did. So, and there's a lot of history with that. So with this new Masters of the Universe Kevin Smith controversy, I've been paying a lot of attention to it, I'll be honest. And I thought we were kind of like getting away from some of this like overly political wokeness thing within old franchises being turned into this whole thing. I thought we were maybe turning a corner for a while, but I don't think we are. And a lot of this whole thing with regards to this Kevin Smith thing is just, it's like, I don't see the really real point in doing these things. As far as, it's confusing to look at something like this and say, oh, what they're trying to make and spoiler alert, oh, they got to kill the old to do the new. But it's like, why put it under that name then? Why not have it be a spin-off series or a parallel universe, or just like DC likes to do, or whatever. And it's just so stupid. So I watched like 5 minutes of the series, the more controversial scenes where He-Man gets killed by Skeletor, and then Tila or whatever the fuck. So there's been I've watched a lot of videos about the series, and I thought the animation looked cool. And I'm glad that Transformers actually was redeemed with the Bumblebee movie, because that was kind of the opposite problem of what not maybe the opposite. Michael Bay is pretty politically incorrect, but he's, a fucking hack, for the most part. The Rock was okay and some other stuff like that. But yeah, this whole He-Man thing makes me laugh. I think it's pretty hilarious. I don't really care that much, but I just think it's like that character in the new Terminator movie that, these like androgynous kind of women, strong female characters that don't have a lot of femininity to them. They're more masculine in certain ways. And then they turn Tila into like this character, and I guess she's dramatic and all this shit. And I just wonder, is there some agenda going on here? And I, being into some truth culture, I'll just call it truth culture instead of conspiracy, tinfoil hat, culture. I am into some of that, but is there an agenda here? Now, growing up, there was always these fundamentalist Christians to talk about all these agendas and all this shit, and I'm just like, this is so stupid. And back then it was, because they were the minority trying to, gain basic rights in many areas of life, many walks of life, but now when a corporation decides, usually a white crusty old male, as a CEO, oh, you need more diversity, or maybe Kathleen Kennedy, or she's not a male, but someone like that decides, oh, we need to do this, do that. There's this trope that they're doing now with all these characters and all these franchises. So I wouldn't be surprised. So first of all, I'll tell you what the trope is. The trope is you kill the male hero from the previous, the franchise. They kill the male hero, like, they killed Luke Skywalker. Spoiler alert. Sorry. If someone's watching this hasn't seen the new Star Wars. They killed Luke Skywalker, and then they replaced him with this, well, Rey, Daisy really is pretty fucking hot. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. But more, tomboyish female character who's a, what's it called? The fucking God, what is it called right now? I'm trying to think. They have no faults. Mary Sue, that's what I'm thinking of. Mary Sue. So they're married. They replace it with a Mary Sue. Luke had a lot of flaws. He had, he was tempted by the dark side several times in the series. He was kind of a dork. Like there's this underrated thing with Mark Hamill's performance as Luke Skywalker. He's kind of an innocent, kind of dorky kind of guy, a little awkward. That's what makes you kind of identify with him so much. Or if you're if you want to be more of a masculine kind of roguish kind of guy, you watch Harrison Ford. And then if you're more of ironically, Carrie Fisher played a pretty kind of tough, maybe not the first movie where she was like a princess and she had to play act and all this shit, more tough kind of woman thing. She was, by the third movie, she was a feminist character in many ways. Look at what's the fucking beginning of the movie. I mean, that's why the original trilogy has plenty of shit that's woke, I guess. Lando is in, 2 of the films a lot. And I thought that was totally ridiculous how Lando, it took him fucking 3 films for the new series, the new trilogy, for him to appear. I thought he should have been in from the beginning, So, now the Mandalorian is better than any new Star Wars, by the way. I'll agree with that 1,000%, by the way. But anyways, so we have this new trope, and it happened in Terminator. Spoiler alert. John Connor was killed in the beginning, and then you have this female hero that's going to save the day now in the future, the new timeline. And you have it in He-Man. Teela is the hero of the series, Masters of the Universe, or whatever. And I'm just like, when is it going to end? What is the end game with this? And not to sound all red pill and fucking all that shit, but they're destroying they're destroying masculinity by copying it and replacing it inside a woman's, naturally cis woman's body. That's what they're doing. It's like, okay, well, we got to be like the men. It's like, it's just really ridiculous and stupid, and I hate it. I don't know what the end game of this is, but villainize male traits and masculinity, and make the male character the dunces of the series or whatever, these tropes that they're doing. I'm not going to watch the new Masters of the Universe. I'm not going to watch the new fucking Indiana Jones if they do the same thing. They'll kill Indiana Jones in the first quarter of the series, and then some strong, female, trans, wheelchair-bound, black trans female, wheelchair-bound, with a lot of mental illnesses and blue hair with a whip will be the hero of the series. And she'll be named Indiana at the end, What's your name? Indiana Jones. I wouldn't be surprised if they did some shit like that. It's fucking, the thing is there's plenty of old franchises that haven't been made that are diverse as hell. I mean, the original Spawn movie, that was made, but they can redo that. They can do, there's a bunch of comics. There's Love and Rockets is a classic comic from the 80s. It's a very Latin, whatever series, whatever you want to, Latinx. I'm not going to use that term. And has nothing to do with anything. I just think these people in ivory towers pushing this thing that people don't even use on the street are stupid, okay? So it's a very Latin, kind of Latino, whatever you want to call it. Latinx, it's a very Latino series that it was a comic book series that the band Love and Rockets named themselves after, actually. And it's very diverse. But nobody's trying to do that as a series. They just want to like actually shit on old franchise. They'd rather shit on old franchises, right? Nobody wants to make. There's a lot of comics. There's this comic Chew, this Korean dude who chews food and shit, and like knows the crime, like can tell what happened with in the crime scene and shit. Genius series. It sounds ridiculous, but if you read the series, like, this is fucking great. You know, a series like that. Image Comics has plenty of stuff. Original Walking Dead, diverse. It wasn't forced. It wasn't woke diversity, but it was there. It was just naturally there. It was self-apparent. Robert Kirkman is actually, I think he's, I know he's hated, but I think he has a lot of good things about him. I don't like what happened in the series, and I think some of the reason why he stepped out of the comic, at least, I don't know if that's current time too, but it's because, or he ended it originally, is because he got sick of the. I think subconsciously, like, or whatever, he's like, fuck this. This series has ruined the television series, so I'm just gonna end the comic and see if they follow suit. So eventually, because it's so shitty, but by then, so yeah, this woke fucking garbage, like, of making these old movies and franchises into kill the male hero and then replace it with some diverse character, which has nothing to do with the character itself, themselves. And I was talking about James Bond the other day, and this thing kind of got to me. So Ian Fleming was in the early British, it was in British intelligence in World War II. And a lot of times a writer or an author, a comic book writer, whatever, artist or whatever, is drawing from their own experience, their lived experience, if you want to use a PC fucking woke term, right? That's what they're doing. So who are you to say that that's terrible to talk about, right? Or, oh, it's a white male, so we gotta ruin it. It's like, it's their experience. Oh, you got to make it diverse. But originally, this is from this cultural viewpoint or cultural, reality paradigm that the person that wrote it is in, that they're reflecting upon themselves. Maybe they grew up, maybe they're Irish and grew up in Boston and they write a fucking book. And if are you gonna like, and this is their experiences, they're just like, they make a fictional book and it's kind of just based on their life. That's the specific culture. You're killing individuality is my point. Even within like white culture, it's like, it's so stupid. It's so dumb. It's like, okay, well, what is a character that had nothing to do, like, let's say they replace James Bond with, some type of diverse character, right? That's not what Ian Fleming made this roguish fucking hero the way he is because of his own experiences. If someone that wants the diverse character of this spy, whoever they're going to replace him with, if someone from that background wants to write a spy novel about their experiences, that's something else. And then they make a movie out of that, or make, books out of that. That's a different story. The frame of their reality and reference is different automatically from the cultural background, and all these other things. So when they fucking make these movies and they ruin it, or, revive these old franchises and put it from some other fucking person's point of, like, try to diversify it, it ruins the original intent of the author or the writer. That's just a fact. And the Masters of the Universe, who gives a fuck? It's He-Man, it's fucking, people, there's so many memes with those old cartoons of He-Man. I mean, on YouTube you can watch. It's not like fucking, it's not Shakespeare, I'll just say that. But no, there's some cool stuff in it, and there's some cool sword and sorcery kind of 80s kind of shit in there. And I bought the comics and stuff and some of the action figures. And it's not rocket science though, but at the same time, it is one of those things that it's like, why would you, He-Man is the star of the show. It was based on this guy, this Conan type figure. Why would you make some androgynous version of a character from the old days and make her like have this angst of a fucking woke woman and put it in a cartoon series as a replacement for He-Man? It's just so fucking short-sighted and stupid. What's next though? Yeah, like I said with Indiana Jones or James Bond or fucking whoever. I wouldn't mind a black James Bond. Idris Elba, there was some rumors about that. That's fine. But making like a fucking like a politically correct woman version of James Bond, like she's not even a like a I mean, I'm sure they'd make her like not what more of a slut, or what the opposite of womanizer, or the female version of womanizer, or make her lesbian even for fuck's sake and make her a womanizer. Wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure they'd probably try to do that, but the worst thing would be some lame ass fucking like spy without any of those traits. But they'll try to copy all these things and put it in a woman and try to see if that works, and it's just gonna fucking fall flat on its face and fail miserably, because that's what they do. These people that are fucking trying to do this, and I still don't know what it's for. I don't know why, because some of these things don't even sell that well, and go woke, go broke, the whole thing. It's just so stupid. And it's not, like I said, in the beginning of this video, I'm not against diversity in culture. I think there's plenty of franchises they should try to make into movies or whatever, or TV series. There's plenty of stuff, but they have to fucking cannibalize stuff and make it woke and make it into shit. And they're not even focusing on the plots of these shows and series, That's my point. Like with The Walking Dead, when you read the Walking Dead comics, you were put in this other world, and there was diverse characters, a lot of different races and cultures. I know Rick is not fucking black, or he's a white guy and shit like that, but still, it's like, for the most part, Michonne, one of the biggest heroines, whatever, in the world, fucking legendary, black woman character that had sword, walk, with beheading all these zombies, fucking classic shit, right? And nobody will forget that ever. Probably more popular than Rick. Rick is boring, Rick and Carl are kind of boring characters in a way. I mean, especially in the comic, they're just like, he's just like a politician, kind of, whatever. Well, he's a cop, but former cop, but he's just like, yeah, there's Rick. I mean, I know it's this story of him and his son, but these other characters that were diverse were awesome, right? In Walking Dead, what's the difference between that and these woke replacements in these other movies? Well, for one, the guy knew how to write a fucking plot. For one, doesn't cannibalize on these other tropes, like the Ghostbusters 2016, like making, we just got to make a shitty version. Like, even if it was men in Ghostbusters 2016, if all the characters were men, it'd be just as bad. But you have that novelty of these women being the Ghostbusters, but the jokes were terrible, right? And that's the problem with these things, that they're not focusing on quality or an actual, they're starting in, it seems like they're starting with the pandering and then going from there and like writing around that. Whereas, you think about a diverse writer or character, like Robert Kirkman's a good example. Someone, I don't even think he was thinking, maybe he was thinking that, well, America's diverse, who would meet up in a zombie apocalypse? It wasn't like, we've got to have this like gay and like trans character like be the hero of the story because we're gonna sell this many units in this whatever the fuck it is, So it's so stupid. Woke corporatism is disgusting. It's almost more racist than old fucking Sambo tropes or whatever the fuck. That's about all.